Hello and welcome back to English class. In today's video we're going to be looking at part 3 of the Proficiency speaking, and we're going to be looking at some common themes that you may face in the exam. So in the video today we're going to be looking at 5 different questions related to the common themes. Among the questions, so question 1 for example, will have the question, the 3 bullet points which again you can use if you like, some key vocabulary and importantly a structure to follow, some linking devices in order to make your discourse go as smooth as silk. So let's look at number 1. Here we have a question about crime and punishment. In what ways is it important to have rules and regulations? We have our 3 bullet points: order rather than chaos in society, children or school, and crime and punishment. Okay, so below this question we have some key vocabulary such as to abide by. So we could say here, to abide by rules is something which people should do. We have the noun etiquette. Okay, so what is etiquette? It's basically the way that you present yourself in a very acceptable way. What is accepted and what's not accepted? If a person has etiquette, that means they are abiding by certain norms or something that is deemed socially accepted. We also have the idiom to toe the line. So if you imagine the line where it is drawn, and if your foot is just on that line, you're not stepping over the line, but you're very close to doing so. So somebody who toes the line is somebody who nearly or maybe pushes the boundaries, and they're kind of a bit rebellious, you could say. So let's look at the structure here. From 1 to 5, we could start by saying something like, well, there are pros and cons to having rules and regulations. And then you could go and start talking about the first point, which is order rather than chaos in society. Once you finish giving your point of view on that, you could then refer to the next point. Instead of saying and, you could say something like, another point that should be taken into consideration is children or schools. And then you could even, in this part, give your personal experience. What were you like at school as a kid? Personally speaking, I was a model student. Not in my case. For example, personally speaking, I was a naughty student. There were some other students who, unlike myself, didn't toe the line. They complied with the rules or regulations at the school. So this is very important, guys. In your discourse, you can also give some personal experiences of yourself to justify what you think or what you believe. If you want to introduce a contrasting idea, we could look at number 4. And here we could say something like, I'm not sure to what extent this is true. So maybe you've said something about how rules and regulations at school are a way to prepare you for life after school. Do they have a good basis for our after or post-education pursuits into the working world, for example? Finally, we could kind of sum up our discourse, which is what we have to do. Remember, it's like writing an essay. We start kind of general and then we narrow it down towards the end. So here we could say something like, so in this sense, rules and regulations are, and then you kind of give your final, or you throw your final 2 cents in. Let's look at another example of a common topic that may be presented to us in this part of the test. Here we're talking about conflict. What are the most common causes of conflict? Greed or envy, personality clashes, desire for superiority, and some key vocabulary such as animosity, to hold animosity, camaraderie, so this sense of friendship or being there for others. Do you see eye to eye with somebody? If you do, you think similarly and you are agreeing with them. Do you squabble? So do you argue with them? And maybe do people intend to win over another person or other people? So here we have our structure on the right, such as, I think I can safely say that, and then you could select one of the points to talk about. Moving on to another point, you could say, regarding personality clashes, it is certain squabbles which really cause friction between couples or friends, etc., etc. And then you can give your opinion. My opinion is that, although people do not see eye to eye, and they often fall out, it is really important to maintain a sense of camaraderie, for example. And then to finish, you could say something like, to finish then, I feel that bad blood is often caused due to hostility or the lack of empathy shown towards others. So again, that's just another example. These are my ideas, but you're more than welcome, of course, to use your own ideas following the structure. Number 3, we see, why do so many people follow fashion? The need to feel up to date, commercial pressures, how you look has always mattered, or does it matter? And we have words such as big-headed, so a person who likes to show off. Maybe someone is hypocritical, patronizing, pompous, two-faced, or vindictive. So somebody who is vindictive is somebody who likes to be vengeful. Somebody who has the intention to be spiteful to another person. So you have the structure such as, this is an important issue and one that is discussed a lot. In relation to fashion and following fashion, the need to feel up to date is or has adverse effects, etc., etc. As regards to commercial pressures, I believe that lots of companies are very hypocritical or narrow-minded. Or you tend to believe that, and then you give another point of view, or you don't tend to believe that. Now we have number 4. So this is when you can introduce an alternative idea. Okay, so maybe you do, or maybe you're on the fence. Maybe you believe one thing, but you also take into consideration another thing. So here you could say something like, having said that, and then you introduce your new point of view. And then to summarize, you could use something like, so what I think is, and then you really get down to the nitty and gritty and say why you believe so many people follow fashion. Now guys, if you haven't done already, I recommend taking 2 minutes using the structure or key vocabulary to use in your discourse. And I'm going to leave the 2 last questions for you to do as you please. The question number 4 is, how has technology affected the way people communicate? We have our 3 bullet points: instant messaging, video conferences, cell phone applications. If you're not sure of any words like to be up to speed with, which basically means to be up to date or to be in the know, or tinkerer, which is somebody who enjoys fixing or playing with machines, or bias, somebody who leans towards one belief or ideology because of maybe his or her past experience. And of course we have the structure on the right. Number 5 addresses the criteria that is important to follow when going on holiday. We have price, facilities, respect for local communities. We have some key words such as to unwind or to let your hair down. Do people go on holiday to backpack? Do they take their stuff with them and they maybe island hop, or they go from place to place? Do you have to take into consideration the proximity to the airport? So depending on how close your villa or your hotel or your accommodation is to the airport, is it important to take into account? And if you don't, would it have any repercussions? Okay, so then again, you have your structure on the right and you're free to use it as you please. So guys, that is all for today. I hope you liked the video. Share it with your friends or with anybody who you think it's really something that could be useful for them in part 3 of the Proficiency Speaking. It's a goodbye for now. Subscribe to the channel. See you in the next one.